Fourth edition of the 90%. You have our mainstays, Manir and Jordan, here with you again. Today we're going to show a lot of different TikTok clips and kind of give some commentary as to what we feel. We're going to do a little more Israel-Palestine. Obviously, it's still a really important topic to discuss. And then at the beginning here, we're going to go more over just kind of like U.S. foreign policy, maybe kind of leaking into the military-industrial complex. How capitalism can kind of drive that military-industrial complex, and how it kind of just muddles international relations, foreign policy, all of those sort of things. So let's get right into it here.
Let's get to it.
All right. So the first one we want to show is a clip by Patrick Bet-David. Obviously, if you've never heard of him, he's I would say maybe like a mid-tier podcaster. Like he's not like a Joe Rogan or anything like that, but still a very intelligent guy. Seems to do his research, and this is a bit of a piece about. We touched on this last time actually about how many of the S&P. Let's just play the clip. Why am I talking here? Let's go.
They are the largest shareholder themselves, like Larry Fink is BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. These three companies are the largest shareholders of 88% of S&P 500 companies. Let me say that one more time. You got 500 companies, S&P 500, 88% of those companies, their largest shareholder of those companies is either State Street, Vanguard, or BlackRock. So whose phone call do you think you have to pick up when they call you? BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. Who do you fear if you're the CEO of those companies? State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock. You better answer those calls. Who are you going to hire? You're going to have to hire whoever they're going to want you to hire because you want the high score. So now, let's go to other industries. Department of Defense, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Boeing, Northrop Grumman. 3 out of the 4 top shareholders in almost every one of those companies. Guess which companies they are? State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock. So the commander-in-chief is not who we think it is. It's the CEO of BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street.
I love the editing.
I swear to God, it almost sounds conspiracy. You know what I mean?
It's because they play that music is that like that's your like go-to conspiracy music, right?
Of course.
Even when they like gray out some of the parts that he does. But yeah, I mean, it just goes to the fact that there's seemingly a few people who have a lot of control. And like he's saying, these defense contractors, 3 of the 4 associated with the U.S. are owned by these 3 companies. If they're making literally billions, over the course of decades, trillions of dollars from these contracts with the U.S., and obviously Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock, they promise the shareholders everything's going to keep going up. They're going to want to feed the war machine. There's a lot of people who say the military-industrial complex is kind of like a fringe conspiracy theory. But when you look at the facts, it more seems just like a symptom of the system that we've created. It's not really a conspiracy. It's just what can happen when capitalism maybe runs amok. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but we were saying like it seemed like the 1970s kind of had the best combination of capitalism, but also taking care of the middle class. And since then, we've seen more and more of a crunch on the middle class. More money has gone to the 1%.
Yeah, but everything, for most people, started changing. I think in the early 90s. When you actually, even when you look back to, I don't know about you, Jordan. I don't know if you watch a lot of sports, even the athletes, right? When you think about the athletes in the 80s, right, they didn't make much, right, because capitalism switched right from moderate capitalism to some extreme capitalism all the way to the other side. Like when you're thinking, because all these athletes, this is maybe not a very good example, became ambassador to all these corporations, right? So they paid them a lot, but the people who did the hard job, the dirty, the bottom people didn't pay them at all. Some of their salaries didn't go up, The salaries of athletes went, from maybe $1 million for 5 year contract to $200-300 million for a 5 year contract. And then the CEOs, they start making tons of money as well. Even when you think about, the Ukraine and Russia-Ukraine conflict, uh, like last year, it was on the news. I'm not sure if you remember. It was last year, early this year. BlackRock signed a deal with Ukraine government to rebuild the country once the war is over. Like, think about that, man. Think about that. Like, how do you sign a contract, with a country that's at war right now?
You're
That means
gonna you're gonna blow it up and then build it back again.
build it up exactly. And then the crazy thing, just like how Patrick said there, 3 out of 4 of the major uh, weapon suppliers are owned, or majority shareholder. We're looking at BlackRock, Vanguard, and the other one there, I just forgot the name, Street something.
For sure. It just
uh,
seems like a total congregation of power, right?
exactly.
And as we've seen from other world events, it seems like when people have power, it's almost in our nature to oppress. So it
Oh,
seems like we need
absolutely.
a system where, a 1970s system where, yes, capitalism seems to be the answer because, I haven't heard of like a communist society that's worked out or like a total socialism, like Marxist society that's worked
Yep.
out. So obviously capitalism seems
But,
like
but,
the
but
way,
let's
but
be
maybe
real.
checked capitalism is the way.
But let's be real, Jordan, right? We hear communism, we hear socialism. Again, I'm not personally. I don't care.
It's a
Personally,
dirty word, man. It's a dirty
it's,
word.
it's a dirty word. Exactly.
Yeah.
Personally, like what I care about is people not dying. That's the only thing I care about. You know. So if North Korea decide they want to be a communist country, why are we there to force them to take our way of life or our way? It seems kind of ridiculous that we think our, like, capitalism, is a better system, and we're forcing other nations to accept it, right? I think that's on its own is such a dumb thing. I mean, it's like, okay, let them have their system, let them have socialism if they want socialism, uh, and if we want capitalism. I mean, most people are afraid of losing, you know, whatever they're afraid of losing under communism. People are losing whatever people are afraid of losing under communism. People are losing it under capitalism. How many people, because what we have is not really, it's capitalism unchecked, just like you say. It's like people are losing houses. Look at the 2008 crash, right? How many people lost their homes? Over a million,
Well,
for
yeah.
sure.
How many people are homeless right now? Like
How many people are homeless right now?
you have the
Exactly.
tent camps in Los Angeles, all across the West Coast,
Not
Vancouver.
just Los Angeles.
Toronto's never had this many homeless people as well,
Toronto.
right? Like
I
we're
was
letting
in
people down.
Halifax. I was in Halifax, Jordan, and let me tell you, I love Halifax. For people who are from Halifax, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful. I never thought it was. I thought it was, one of those small towns, but it was actually, a beautiful city. But then I was walking down the street, and it was like a park, and the entire park was just tents. And this is Halifax. I didn't even think, they had so many people in Halifax. Halifax, never mind the homeless. Uh, so,
For sure.
whatever, again, it's whatever you are afraid or afraid will lose under communism, they're losing it under capitalism, right? It's like, you're having a good life, being able to feed your kids. People are not able. They work full time. They're still not able to feed their kids. So, go on vacation. For 1 week, never mind 2 weeks, for 1 week a year. Uh, so I think people, again, I'm not advocating for any system. I'm not advocating for communism, but I can tell you, we live under capitalism and people are struggling. So obviously, it's either whatever is, it's a rugged, unchecked capitalism where sharks, dominating the pond,
For sure.
or I don't know, man. Like it's crazy.
And I mean, like the reason we're bringing this up is we're trying to get to the bottom of, why these wars continually happen. Why do we continually oppress other people if we have the chance to, as the human race? And I do think this unchecked capitalism is, maybe a primary driver of this kind of issue that we find ourselves in. And yeah, again, a lot of it is driven from too much power in one place. They have a bigger say than everyone else, and they can kind of do what they want. Like we've talked about these international laws that the West has created, and it's like it really doesn't apply to them. They wrote it for everybody else. Whoever has the biggest stick doesn't have to listen, and you
Of
can see that
course.
in Israel and Palestine right now, right? Israel has the bigger stick, so they feel like they can do whatever they want. They'll kill reporters, they'll kill
Actually,
children.
I'll go and say the United States has a bigger stake, because without the United States of America, Israel is nothing. You know,
For sure.
we can, the argument who controls who, that can be had on a different topic on a different day. But if right now the United States of America say to Israel, ceasefire, within 24 hours there will be a ceasefire. I can promise you that, but the United States of America is not going to do that, right? It's like I just don't understand.
Sure.
But
Well,
going back to what,
I think it is because of this fact of the industrial military complex,
true,
right?
I guess that,
They,
yeah, yeah,
in order for them to keep moving forward, in order for them to keep driving profits, aka creating weapons, dropping bombs, spending fuel to get these jets overseas, all of these things, what do they need in order to drive all that? They need destabilization.
of
They need
course, yeah,
to destabilize as many countries as they can. It's
yeah.
like if they had a chart, it's like the more they destabilize, the more money they make, right? It's
Yeah,
like
like
perfect correlation.
you're not making all these weapons for nothing. You're not making them for just to showcase them. And guess what? You make money when these weapons are being used. You don't make money when they just sit in the warehouses, right? So it makes sense for even like when you think about how crazy with American politics, right? How the Congress people are allowed to have to buy shares in these companies. It's
Yeah,
like,
they
how
can do
crazy that
insider
is, man.
trader legally. Makes no
It's
sense.
like they have all the information. Like well, obviously we don't live in America,
Yeah.
but if you know what to do the same thing here in Canada, you definitely go to jail for it. You know what I mean? So it's like because these guys can make the decisions that can pretty much
cause
cause the stock market to either go up or down. But
Yeah.
somehow they are allowed to trade.
No, absolutely. Right. So this next clip is again, we're kind of focusing on like destabilization, like why the West would want to destabilize, or America would want to destabilize the world. And this is just an example of, Libya. We were told, I can't. I mean, what was Libya like? It was a while ago, right?
That's
So
during Obama, 2010,
2010,
2011.
2011.
So I can't remember exactly why they said Libya was bad at the time, but here we have an example where Libya, different nations, we were told they're in a bad spot. Like that's
Now,
what the narrative was from the
yeah,
West, mainstream media. But
mhm.
if you dig a little deeper, it seems like some of these countries weren't in such a bad spot. The people themselves actually appreciated their leader, but the U.S. thought they had to go in and intervene anyways, right?
Yeah,
I mean, when we go to Iraq, there was the weapons of mass destruction that weren't there. There's all these different things. So let's fire this up and we'll talk about it here.
You also recently said that the Middle East would be better off with Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, and Assad in power. How does...
I didn't say Assad, but we certainly have not gained anything with Gaddafi. And you look at what happened. I mean, look at Libya. Look at Iraq. Iraq used to be no terrorists. He would kill the terrorists immediately. It was like, now it's the Harvard of terrorism. Iraq. If you look at Iraq from years ago, I'm not saying he was a nice guy. He was a horrible guy.
So like
But
I
it was a
always
lot
laugh
better
when
than
I
it
hear
is
him
right
speak.
now.
It's just,
Right now, Iraq is a training ground for terrorists. Right now, Libya, nobody even knows Libya. Frankly, there is no Iraq and there is no Libya. It's all broken up. They have no control. Nobody knows what's going on.
The world would be better off with Saddam Hussein.
100%.
and Gaddafi in power.
100%. Now, as far as Assad is concerned,
What about the human rights abuses?
Let's talk. What, you don't think they're happening now? They're worse now than they ever were. People are getting their heads chopped off. They're being drowned. Right now, they're far worse than they were ever under Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi. I mean, look what happened. Libya's a catastrophe. You look at our ambassador as an example, okay? Libya is a disaster. Iraq is a disaster. Syria is a disaster. The whole Middle East. And it all blew up around Hillary Clinton and around Barack Obama. It all blew up. Now, one thing about Assad, not a good guy. I understand that. But we're backing and spending billions and billions of dollars on backing rebels that we have no idea who they are. And a lot of people think they're ISIS. I happen to think they're ISIS, but who knows? But we're spending billions of dollars to get Assad out with people that we have no idea who they are. I don't think that's smart. We have to rebuild our country. Our country's falling to pieces. We have 19 trillion in debt. We have infrastructure that's a disaster. Our roadways, our airports, our schools, everything. We have to start thinking about ourselves. We're pouring trillions of dollars into the Middle East, and we have nothing for it. We have nothing.
Woo. Love him.
I
or
like
hate him,
how
he spits facts sometimes, right? And it sucks how shitty he is at communicating with people. Because if he had a little bit of couth and a little bit of like tact and humility, I feel like he would be a good president.
Yeah, if it was like the way Obama says, right? It's actually funny that you say that, but you're right. If if he was good with speech, like some people are very good. Like I know myself, I'm not very good. Like I cannot communicate my thoughts the way some people can, right? But if he was good at speaking, probably he's actually a very good politician.
Sure. He's a bad politician because he's not really a politician. You know what I mean? He's a good leader, but in terms of like what people would accept as a politician, he's not really a politician.
Well,
he's a real leader.
That's how he sells himself. I think, in the end of the day, he's a politician. This is based on. You're right. He's a businessman on one side, but I think, if I'm honest, anyways, I think he's a politician because if you actually like again, his record is much better than Joe Biden's. I think probably in terms of how many Middle Eastern people he killed, it's much better than Obama's. Obama killed more than him. I think he's the only president that did not start a new war, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Of the United States for the last, I don't know,
30 years. If you were to grade a president on how many people they killed, he would get the best grade.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. He killed the least amount of people.
If you were to grade him on how many times he insulted reporters, he would get the worst grade possible.
That's true.
So that's like where
Yeah.
It's a hard thing. Like, do you want people to die or do you want someone to be rude?
I never care. I thought he always put a smile on my face every time he tweeted because he always says something ridiculous, right? It's like you're like, it's not necessarily what he's saying is not true, but it's the way he says it, right? It's like he has speech skills of a 5-year-old, like for somebody who's born, as an English speaker, you know what I mean? Like
if he could have addressed the press like Obama, then he would have been the best president of all time. But
exactly.
Every other president, everybody has their pros and cons, just like you and I. So
the thing is, Obama. If we were to talk about Obama, I think Obama is a very, he talks with a flair. He's a very likable guy. He talks, but when you actually look at his record, if you're to talk about just African Americans, I don't live in the States, but even I've listened to so many African Americans talking about Obama, how their lives did not improve under Obama, and I wouldn't expect, because he's the president of he's the president of the United States, and he's not president of Black people of the United States, but based on how he was sold to them, you would think their lives would have improved. As a matter of fact, I've read some places where the lives of African Americans improved much better under Trump than it was under Obama, right? But again, I can't really back up what I just read it somewhere. I can't really back it up. So I'm not gonna sit here, and say whether Barack Obama was a better president or Trump was a better president. But
Do you think he's going to win this upcoming
I
election?
think against Biden, he might win.
Yeah.
Do I care? I really
I think
don't.
I think he's going to win.
I,
I
I,
hope I
I
hope
think
he
he might
wins.
win. Like again, do I care? I don't. But here's the
We
thing. I
should
will
we
tell you
should
one thing.
care though. Like it affects the world who the American president is.
That's true, but you're right. That is true. But the problem is, look at all the candidates right now. Look at every single candidate who's running for president. None of them are good. None of them. Not single one of them. Right? If we're talking about the peace prosperity, or if we're talking about people's lives, if we're talking about American lives, none of them care about Americans. None of them address Americans, or none of them bring forward Americans. They all somehow are stuck. Either they're so pro-Israel, they're so pro-war, and you know what's so crazy? The craziest thing is, even in Canada, I find it I find it to be the same way. It's like somehow these two major parties, they can never get on the same page with any issues that any issues that related to the Americans or Canadians, but somehow they get on the same page when it comes to wars. It's like, what kind of democracy? You're talking about tons of people dying, and both parties get on the same page and start beating the war drums. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if they get on the same page. It,
All they
it
do.
always seems like it's the government that is forcing them to go to war. Like
Yeah,
in
but look at how many people who are supporting right now, who are supporting a war between U.S. and Iran from both sides. You might have a couple senators here and there who are against it, or Congress people here and there who are against it, but most of them are like, yeah, let's go to war. The
I
same
don't
thing.
think so. You think
Uh,
I think it's like 20% want to go to war, 80% don't.
you're talking about the people, Americans, yes, because that's the poll they just did.
I
The
think even
American people.
senators, like there's no way the senators are
Oh,
supposed to represent the people, right? So that's what I'm saying. That like if that's not the case, then it is
one second.
because of this, you know, because of the government, because
One
of this
second.
small minority part of the population that drives us forward.
One second.
Yeah, as you look that up, I'll play this. I have a video about Gaddafi, so it kind of dovetails nicely from the last one that we played here. So let's play
Evil
it.
Deeds Done by Muammar al-Gaddafi, Part 2. He was an advocate of traditional families, so he granted $50,000 for newly married and additional $5,000 on birth of a child. Citizens who wanted to be farmers would be given land, a house, equipment, seeds, and livestock for free. As interest is forbidden in Islamic culture, the government provided interest-free loans and paid 50% of the price of a newly bought car. Students would be paid an average salary for the profession they are studying for. Same applied for unemployed Libyans, which would get an average salary for their learned profession until finding a job. Wait, for what was he murdered again?
Yeah, so it's just going over this is some of the reasons why Gaddafi was loved so much. So it's just showing that we were told one story, and then it seems like the facts may have been a little different on the other side of things.
Yeah, like I have friends who are I worked with. Uh, one particular friend I used to spend a lot of time with, especially we go to our Friday prayers, and I used to talk to him about Gaddafi, and he would always tell me like how things were much better under Gaddafi than they are now. And actually, funny you with the last clip there we just watched, when the reporter was asking President Trump, what about human rights? Doesn't he realize there's is slavery going on in Libya right now? Like, like you know what I mean? Like, what are what about human rights?
It's
That
crazy how dumb reporters are.
it's
Like,
like
and you see it with this Palestinian stuff as well. Like, they keep asking the same dumb questions
question.
over and over, and like some of the questions are so offensive too. It's like,
Like,
the Palestinians coming on TV. Literally, 30 of her family members just died. 17 of them children. The first question they ask: do you condemn the attack of Hamas on October the 7th, where 1,400 people were brutally murdered? And it just happens that 3,500 people in Palestine were killed. They're not murdered; they're killed. It's like
kill, yeah,
all this little nuance where it's just like,
nuance, yeah.
you know, do these reporters not have a mind of their own? Like, how can they look another human being in the face on TV and ask them such a stupid, horrendous question? It's just
But
like it
but
blows my
but that's
mind.
the thing. So it's because I feel like the Western media, like again, using saying that they're bought by Zionists is like almost conspiracy. But the truth is, the Western media is so biased and it's so obvious. It's like we talking about international news here. We're talking about global news. The least you can do, being try to be neutral. Try at least pretend you're neutral, but they're not even pretending they're neutral. They have their narrative that they're pushing, and they don't care. You know what I mean?
It does seem like it's slowly kind of, especially compared to years past, turn in the Palestinians' favor. Like, even 2 3 years ago, it's just gotten so much news attention, like way more than it ever has. So I'm hopeful for
Yeah,
that.
that's because of people like you and I, right? Like we are able to point out things, we're able to share things, we are able to, like. And the other thing, I always say this, man. I have yet to see. Like, if you find a video, like, I would be more than happy to watch it, right? Like, I have yet to see a video where a Palestinian is in support of what's going on in the bombing. But all I see is the Israelis coming out. It's either they're coming out against the Prime Minister Netanyahu. They're either coming out against the Western media and the support of basically genocide. It's like it's always like, yeah, sure. Like, you can make an argument. Maybe the stuff that I watch is on one side, sure, but but because I know the history too. I don't look at this conflict as on the 7th. Out of nowhere, somehow, there's this terrorist group called Hamas. They went in and started killing people for no reason. I look at it. I look at it as from 1940.
But Munir, it is the worst terrorist attack since 9/11.
Oh, no,
Since
no.
the Holocaust. Sorry,
It's
since
a
the
thousand.
Holocaust.
It's 1,000 9/11s, Jordan. It's a
Yeah.
thousand 9/11s. Don't
Like,
don't don't
why can't you
don't
understand
downplay.
this?
Don't
It's
downplay, please.
you know, Israel hasn't committed any international crimes. I mean, I know they bombed the hospital, but they try not to. So we're gonna give them a pass,
It
right?
will pass. And it's like they. Oh, and the other thing too. I will talk less if they can, with the proof. They can start showing. They can start showing me uh, the number of Hamas fighters they are killing by bombing every single building that's standing. Because all I've been seeing is civilians. All I've been seeing is babies. All I've been seeing is women. So as soon as Israel starts showing me,
It's,
you know,
it's international law.
well, that's what I mean. It's like, as soon as Israel comes out and say, "Oh, this guy is a member of Hamas. We just killed," then I'll be like, you know what? Okay, maybe. Like, I'm not gonna support the genocide of people. Don't get me wrong, but I'm gonna say, okay, there's a point. Maybe they can make a point with what they're doing, but they're not able to. All they're doing is killing innocent people. These people are underground. They're not stupid, and even Israel knows. I don't know if you've seen the. I'm not sure if you've seen uh, uh, the Yeah.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, like, I've been trying to look at both sides as well. I mean, you try your best. Like, I am fed a lot of the Palestinian stuff because
Of course, of
obviously
course.
I lean that way. But because they've had so many things, so it's demented. But I've looked up like the rape. I've tried to look up the rape videos. I've tried to look up the beheading videos.
Nothing.
I just like show me the grotesque stuff so I can in my head reconcile and say yes, this is happening, because you see it in the Palestinian videos. You see the kid bloody. You see them running out with them in the rubble.
Of
Like
course, of course.
this was the worst thing I could find, and like I think we shared this together. Like
Yeah.
they think it was done by AI, and this was Ben Shapiro's one thing that he posted that like led to it. So
And by the way, before it was debunked as a generated image, I thought that was terrible. That picture how bring it right in my heart, tears, right? But then,
sure.
after when even Hinkle there, they were going back and forth. Obviously, you're talking about this image that was AI generated. I was like, man, these guys, they have some pictures of. I remember I've seen a picture of a room, like a baby's room. I can say it's that way. And then there's blood all over the floor. And then and the government is carrying that. And I'm thinking people who love to bring attention to themselves and portray themselves to victims. You would think I would have 15 people die. Right? You think you would have so many pictures of those 15 people being played over and over. But all they can do these days, they show a picture of with blood. They say, oh, this is what Hamas did. And then I'm looking about the Palestinian side. I'm seeing dead babies. Yesterday I saw a baby with no head. It's a baby, a flesh. Not a picture, a full video of a baby with no head. I think I don't want to bring it over. Probably YouTube would take it down if I were to share it.
You actually saw there's a video of a baby being beheaded?
No. It's just a body. It's just literally a body. It's just like they grab it from the rubbles. And it's just like a body, like let me see here if I can break it up. I don't know. I think if you share it, it's gonna get taken down. 100%.
Yeah, I don't even think I want. I only shared the other one because it was generated from AI, right? Like I think it was like a dog picture or something. They traced the photos.
Because they traced it in. It was a dog's picture. Here's another one. Actually, I'm kind of I'm not sure if you want me to share this one.
Yeah, go for it.
I just want to share just the I just want to share the title of this. There you go. If you don't mind, there, Jordan. I don't know. Can you see it?
Yeah, this one side. There you go.
And look at this is CBC. Freed Israeli hostage described horrific Hamas abduction. If you never listen to the video, you'll be like, oh my God, I'm sure an experience when you're being abducted, when you're being kidnapped, is not a good feeling, right? But look at the title there. Look at the title. Okay, now let's listen to what they actually say.
My mom is saying that she was taken on the back of a motorbike with her body, with her legs on one side and her head on another side. That she was taken through the plowed fields with a man in front on one side and a man behind her. And that while she was being taken, she was hit by sticks. When she first arrived, they told them that they are Muslims and they're not going to hurt them, and that they ate the same food that the Hamas was eating. My mom is saying that they treat them kindly and provided for them. My mom is back from Gaza. She's a wonderful woman, and we are so delighted to have her. She is a ray of light in our life, in a big darkness. This is wonderful. But our hearts is with the over 200 hostages still there. We are heartened to hear that they are well looked after. We do not know that that is everyone, because there's many that my mom did not meet. Our heart is with our friends and brothers and mothers and sisters that are still waiting, like us, to our dad and to their children.
Okay, now that video, by the way, there's a longer one. That's actually they talk more about what they experienced.
For sure. I think there's multiple accounts of the same thing. There's like
Well, the same
multiple
thing. It's like
people
it's
saying the
long.
same
And you
thing.
can see this one, the way this one was edited, right?
Yeah,
They're like,
articles are clickbait now, right? Like
yeah, I
CNBC
know.
is just
But
doing
even
pure
this one,
clickbait.
right?
But
I thought they were
some
not
people learn from the headlines, though, right? They don't watch it; they just see the headline and like, oh,
headlines.
that must be the truth.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, I actually do have I might have the original one, yeah, where it's actually they really talk about like the translation, and then you can see that. One second, Jordan, here, if I'm able to send it over to you. I think this is the one.
My mom is saying that they were
I'm gonna send it to you. I'm not sure if you want to share it on your screen.
It's not showing on yours.
Hold on. I just sent it to you. I'm not sure if you have TikTok on your thing.
Yeah, I do. One sec.
That one from Sky News. If you even compare the videos, it's like how they try the message they trying to push, the narrative they trying to push. Right? Again, being kidnapped, I don't care. Like if you kidnap somebody, regardless how you're gonna treat them, it's still you're still kidnapping a person. But
Sure.
yeah, this one.
saying that they were very friendly towards them and that they took care of them, that they were given the medicine. That they were given medicine and they were treated. One of the men with them had a badly injured from a motorbike accident on the way, and the paramedic was looking after his wounds. He was given
I have two microphones.
medicine and antibiotics. That the people were friendly, that they kept the place very clean. They were very concerned about them.
The question is, why did you shake that Hamas activist hand when you crossed? Because they treated us very nicely. My mom is saying that they
You
were
see the
very kind
comparison
and gentle
the
with them
video
and took
shared
care
to
of
that
their
one.
needs.
And provided
They seemed really prepared for it. They had concealed it for a long time, and they took care of all the needs that women need: shampoo, conditioner.
Wow, that's
mom-
crazy. Yeah, and you never see the other side, right? Like you're never seeing, like you were saying before, Palestinians saying any Israeli was even being remotely kind to them in any circumstance, in any situation.
But you know what I mean? It's like look at the title, man. Look at this title. Look at the title from CBC, the one Hamas described what happened at CBC. Even this one, the way they edited it, they literally removed chunk of it that could have told both sides of the story. Like everybody knows, being abducted, being kidnapped is not what you want to go through. I don't care if you're gonna get kidnapped and get put in a 7-star hotel. You're still being kidnapped. But look, real Israeli hostages describe horrific Hamas abduction. It's like when you actually read that, you're like, oh my God. Remember, Jordan, these are the people they want us to justify for them their genocide.
I think people need to make a pact with themselves unless they see something with their own eyes or hear it with their own ears. Like hear the source, not someone gossiping.
Yeah,
Like
of course,
hear
of
the
course.
source. Then they just cannot formulate an opinion
An opinion.
because
Exactly.
it's just too confusing. You know what I mean? Like
But
it's
even when
too
you
hard.
think, okay, even when you think Hamas, right? When you think about how we're gonna level Gaza because these people are animal. That's how they were pushing. That's the narrative they were pushing. That's the message they're pushing in front of us in the West. They're animal. They're the worst terrorists worst of all. They're worse than ISIS. That's what Benjamin Netanyahu said. Remember, ISIS behave people live on TV. ISIS would catch white people that they catch in the Middle East, and they would behave them on live TV for the West to see. How are you telling me Hamas is worse than ISIS?
Because it
And
suits
these guys,
suits the agenda.
and when's the last time Hamas blew up a train somewhere in the West? Their fight is in the land that they say is theirs. That's their fight.
For sure.
I can tell you, there's ISIS in Africa. There's ISIS, there's Al-Shabaab, there's ISIS in Africa. There's Al-Qaeda in Libya, there's Al-Qaeda in Africa. So Al-Qaeda, ISIS, they're all over the world. And their goal is to establish a caliphate. I don't know if you know what a caliphate is. If you don't, you can put it up, on Google. I don't care, because I don't want to give you because I'm Muslim, so I don't want to be sound biased. I just want, I'll bring it up. I know what a caliphate is, but the way I'm going to describe what a caliphate is not going to be exactly. So I want you to understand caliphate from the West point of view, the rule of or reign of a caliph or chief Muslim ruler. That's in short. That's how Google describes it. A caliphate is the area ruled by a caliph. A caliph is khalifa. Khalifa is a leader. Somebody who's leading.
The way I understood it is kind of like a king, like a king.
Exactly, it's a leader. It's king. It's a caliph, right? But then it's more connected to Islamic rules than anything, and that's the reason why I didn't want to. I wanted Google to be the I don't want to give the definition and somebody can you're biased. You're trying to make it sound good or something, right? So I don't want to do that. I want Google to do that for you. So that's what they want to establish. They want to establish a caliphate. By the way, ISIS kill more Muslims than they kill any other people. They kill, like, for me, I'm not Muslim enough. They would actually behead me just like. So you're telling me Hamas? That's how it was pushed. It was pushed like Hamas are worse, according to Benjamin Netanyahu. He said Hamas are much worse than ISIS. So you're telling me these worst people that don't respect humanity, they would bring these people into the caves or tunnels, and then they would treat them with humanity. That makes no sense. Because to them, they don't mean nothing. You know what I mean?
And so it's like, how did they achieve this? I think like this is one of the reasons why is the Western media is so biased in support of Israel.
Of course.
So here we have the Western media, and in each media outlet, you have the Jewish or quote unquote Zionist members. Now it's not very big, we can post this, but what I'll say is this is impressive, right? Like, this is an industrious people who have taken the ranks of many different media outlets, and I don't think this is on its own like a bad thing. I don't want to post this as like anti-Semitic or it's just kind of a where we're at.
Jordan, like again, I know exactly what you're saying. I don't want to come off. I'm being how you say it. I'm being jealous, right? But you're able to say that, right? You're able to say this company only has white people or majority white people, and that company is open for just that. And that's the reason why how they have equal opportunity or whatever lines they put out in job applications these days, right? So you're able to criticize a company hires mostly white people without being white. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And to me, again, not to take away from this of these individuals, right? I'm sure these individuals work very hard, they are, right? But ask ourselves, if there was a company, that only hired black people, then people would call out the company only black people. right? And would not be anti-black pulling out his company hiring. It's just like the same way you be anti-white pulling out a company. But we are talking about a country of 300 million people, right? Within less than 10%. Unless we're looking at people of background, you qualify, you get hired. We don't even care what background you are, right? So,
Sure.
but if we're looking at since we're in 2023, we're supposed to have some kind of equality in work. In that conversation we had without people coming out and call other people. That's just my opinion.
Oh, for sure. No, I get what you're saying. Just like anywhere you go, right? Like if there does seem to be a type of people that will adopt certain industry, if that makes sense. Like in Barbados, it's mostly black people, right? So I mean, like a lot of the government, it's like all black people that run. It makes sense. Everybody here is black, right? So I mean, I can see how it got this way. It's just, the issue with me is not that it's like this, that the structure is like this. It's more that it's used to hurt people. Like that's what bothers me.
Yeah, but I wouldn't really say if a company has white people, that would cause the company people. But I think the problem becomes let's say you have a company, and then you have people that work for the company, and they have let's say two citizens, of Canada and some other country, right? And then it seems like whatever is being put in that other country more than the Canadian, then that would be a problem. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if all this media, like they're pushing forward, right? They're pushing to go run and support Israel, right? But Israelis are free healthcare. Americans don't. But all these media are pushed for America to pay for their work. Meanwhile, their own people don't have free healthcare systems, just like Israel has. That makes no sense.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I do see it as a bit separate. I'm just trying to look at it from, a perspective of, it's like professional sports, the NBA. The NBA is always going to have a high predominance of African Americans because of their athleticism. They're always going to be mostly at the top of kind of the talent pool.
Of course.
If you work at like maybe this is a poor example, but like Kumon, like the math.
Kumon.
Like the Asian kids, the Chinese kids were always so good at math, and I don't know if it's nature or nurture. I don't really care, but it's like when you go to Kumon, I almost want my tutor to be Chinese. I'm like hoping they're Chinese, right?
Of course.
So it's like and like potentially Jewish people are extremely good at media, extremely good at legal work, that sort of thing. So it's like a common, like there's maybe a good chance they do deserve those positions, right? So it's like not that they don't deserve it; it's what you do with the power that's awarded to you is what to me that matters.
Every one of them executive, if they work hard for it, if they went to school for it, and they got the job just everybody else, and they deserve each one of them. Right. If they work just like they work hard for it, they deserve it. There's no question about that, right? But if okay, I'll go back to what you said about Kumar, right? If for example at Kumar, Chinese, and then the Chinese only hire other Chinese. But that's how they've been doing it. Chinese. Then I think I would have to criticize that. I would say, okay, you're telling me I'm looking at 100 people every year apply to, and then 10 of Chinese, 90 of them are not Chinese. Somehow you still end up having mostly Chinese. There's something wrong with how they do it.
They should have put on this chart like the total employees, because this could be like 1,000 employees, right? And we're seeing 30 people.
Yeah, but those are the top positions.
Yeah, I don't think it's all the top. I don't think it's every top position.
I don't know. Yeah, I've been looking at this chart. You know.
So like what I'm getting from this is like, things kind of are how they are. People are awarded certain power based on the positions they hold. We just need to, as a society, hold people accountable to make sure that they're using their power for the right things.
Of course.
We can't be using our power as a media outlet to peddle a war in the Middle East, to hold up things that are not true. We need to somehow, it's not to say one culture or one race or one religion can't dominate a certain industry, but there needs to be some sort of checks and balances. So like, people don't die. Yeah. So, I mean,
and going back to your point, it's like, if the executive of a media company, they're pushing a message from a different country that they just have citizenship with, then we have to stop the message as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair for sure. So this is like a clip. It's obviously showing. I think I say obviously too much. I've said obviously like 20 times.
Can you pick up music, please?
Just give me a sec.
Hey, I'm gonna go. Do you need a second? I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Just no pick up.
Oh, when do you gotta go?
In
Okay. Do you want to just maybe we should just stop it here and then start again, because we're like, post it as one, like do another hour later or something?
Yeah. We can do that.
Or should we just? Or we'll just see. We'll just end it here and then we'll just see if we're free later.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
Okay, everyone. This may be the end of the podcast. Not totally sure. We might continue it on. Our kids are getting in the way of continuing it on, so we still had another 10 videos to play. So if not, more for the next podcast.
If anything, we can continue for the next episode. With us.
For sure. All right. See you later, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.